All right, welcome back to game number 2 here in the semifinals of the OlimoLeague. Reminding you all that Soxery did defeat Parting in the other semifinals, and he awaits one of these two in a best-of-5 grand finals. But for now, I'm Rifkin, casting with Zombie Grub, and spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, we have Team Liquid's blue Terran player. Give it up for TaeJa.
Yep, right, as the red Terran, it's Gumiho.
Now, we saw a lot of awkwardness out of Gumiho, a lot of things that just simply did not go his way. And a lot of that, I think, was based off the fact that he did try to do something a little bit cheesy. While a 2-Rax Reaper is not exactly the same as going, say, 2-Rax versus a Zerg, it's still quite a dedication in the early game. And had TaeJa been doing any other build, maybe that works out better for Gumiho. But the Banshee was just the straight-up counter, whether it was defensively or offensively. And as we saw, offensively ended the game quite quickly.
Yeah. It's usually not that harsh of a counter, so because the Reapers do buy you more time, you know, they snipe off the SCV building the starport, so literally more time, or they have to actually deal with the Reapers and be paranoid of the Reapers because they did any damage at all. But those ones didn't, so it was an easy choice in the Banshee right across the map, and that game should just been, hopefully for Gumiho, a game that you brush off and, you know, go into the second game with a clean slate. It is his map, but you can't really call Deadwing Gumiho's map in the same way that you could call it versus a Zerg. TVT is just a different way of using maps. So, still gonna give this one to TaeJa, but I think it will go longer than 10 minutes.
Well, side story to this, just so we have the pretty standard openings this time, but nothing too crazy. I have fully stepped into the final step to become the ultimate lazy guy.
Okay.
I've wanted to try it for a couple months, but I've always held off on it because it's like one of the few things that gets me out of the house. But I decided to try the grocery delivery service that Save on Foods offers. And the cool thing is, like, you shop online or whatever, like you would, and I think some stores have a standard practice that you can do this online, and what they do is they have your order prepared for you at the store, so you can just go and pick it up. But this particular store actually offers delivery service, so I think it costs $7. I decided to say screw it, got about 80 bucks of groceries, and anytime between an hour from now to 4 hours from now, they're apparently going to stop by my house and deliver my groceries.
Wow.
I have no idea if I should be excited. I'm actually kind of excited about this, but at the same time, I'm a little bit scared, because it's like, Rifkin, now you only have to leave the house for the bank. What will you do with your life?
So, there's Amazon Prime has like Amazon Pantry Box or whatever, and it's like what it sounds like. It's like a box that you fill it up. It tells you how much how the percentage of stuff that you're filling it up with, and it's like it's actually like some of the stuff is a lot cheaper to buy too, which is really nice. Kind of like almost bulk, but not quite Costco bulk. And anyways, I really like it because it has Surge.
What is Surge? Sounds like an energy drink or something.
It is kind of like an energy drink. It was made in the 90s and it was discontinued, but like people like really wanted it back. It's basically like Mountain Dew times 10. So I'm really looking forward to getting that one day, as soon as my pantry box is full. And I will be hyped up for a cast.
That would be.
And then immediately crash and burn afterwards.
I was gonna say that might be a little bit similar to the drunk cast then, just a little more coherent.
Crash and burn.
Actually, it's funny. Speaking of Mountain Dew, do you remember like back in the 90s, everyone was like, you know, don't drink Mountain Dew, it kills your sperm count and all these things, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that was a bigger thing for guys, perhaps. But I always wondered, like, I always think about that once in a while. I wonder, like, was that actually true? Was there any science behind it, or did like some guy get caught cheating? He's like, "Oh, I don't know, honey. I'm shooting blanks. I had a lot of Mountain Dew today. I guess I don't know." Well, actually, sorry. Getting back on point for the game, guys. Sorry, we got completely ADD on this. We don't have a single Hellion coming across the map, but TaeJa's also following this up with a Banshee. This time around, though, as we see, Gumiho does have missile turrets on the way. He is not going to be nearly caught as badly off guard. In fact, it's Vikings. He should be completely set to deal with this. TaeJa's a little bit behind on the command center, but not by a whole lot. So, similar openings for the time being. But what I am curious about is, I think for TaeJa, we're kind of expecting him to play any blend of whatever he wants. He's that good at the game. For Gumiho, though, does he play mech or does he play bio into this? While his mech is really good versus Zerg, it doesn't necessarily translate the same way in TVT.
Yeah. This is that was a little scary. The Widowmine did save TaeJa's Marines right there, and the Banshee's still doing work, right? He didn't invest into a Raven. He doesn't have scans because he figured the missile turret would cover everything, and for the most part, they have. But he's actually going for a drop, and this will be scouted. He's going to be aware of probably Hellion drops, right? Maybe, does he have any Marines put in there? No, so like purely Hellion drops.
But they're so weak. They're probably going to die, like dead on arrival type situation. But trying to keep that reactor alive desperately. Get those 2 additional fresh Hellions out because he needs, of course, 4 fully healthed Hellions to really pull this off.
Yep.
But he also holds, so the Banshee, second Banshee on the way. Viking is still standing, of course, but doesn't want to have to keep burning scans for this.
There's a Raven about to pop out, but Ravens take surprisingly long to finish. Just pop out already! So it might lose the reactor. One scan doesn't kill a Banshee.
That's a bit of a pain. But at the same time, maybe he can make up this damage on the other side of the map. I mean, keep in mind, it's not a lot of SCVs lost. It was mostly harassed to a reactor. So, I mean, the quote-unquote harass that TaeJa did was really bait out a couple of scans. But if Gumiho can kill any amount of workers, this will work out pretty nicely. However, TaeJa kind of knew this would be the case. You pointed out earlier, kind of had an inkling of an idea that this was coming. So tank is set up in the main, the Marines are here, and the 3rd CC is finishing up in a moment's time. Whereas Gumiho does not have that same 3rd CC. So this might just be where TaeJa starts pulling ahead in the matchup.
Yeah. Immediately nopes out of there. It looks like Gumiho is going to go for that mech, by the way. Has the Banshee gone back in to check that? Or seeing the barracks lift off? No. So TaeJa still doesn't quite know. I mean, the Hellions, you know, if there was 8, that would be a tell. Seeing a drop is kind of like maybe. You definitely want to get back in there and scout, but it looks like he lost the Banshee. I guess the Vikings chased it down. Or it came back home. There it is. Came back home.
So I think one of the things for playing mech to this, there's some definite pros and cons, but I think one of the biggest cons is it does have that sort of slower wind-up. Now, it's not like, oh my god, siege things take forever to build or anything like this, but it is about getting the actual factory production down. That alone is pretty expensive, on top of the fact that you're going to need that 3rd base a little more badly than TaeJa. However, we've seen just how powerful things like Hellbats dragged on top of a Marine army can be. Siege tanks versus siege tanks almost cancel each other out, but it's the Hellbats that completely eradicate a line of Marines that goes so well. And it's important for TaeJa to know, like, okay, you know, sees 2 factories, he's thinking mech, so he starts producing Marauders earlier rather than later. And the Marauders, of course, if for no other reason alone, they can survive the Hellbat damage, unlike Marines.
Yeah. And he knows that he's going to be able to be pretty safe. You know, it is going to be mostly harassed that he's going to have to worry about. So do you see that there are 2 armories? Because that would really tell him how safe he could be. No.
No, he hasn't seen the 2 armories. But I mean, seeing 2 factories is still, I mean, knowing which direction your opponent's going is pretty big.
Yeah, that's fine. But, like, you know, when it's 2 armories, we usually see a very, very passive Gumiho. Like, he'll harass for sure. Like, how about drops here and there? But they're going up to, like, that air. So TaeJa, I mean, if it was not 2 armories, so only 1, he may have to worry about that 150 push out instead of the 200.
Now, I guess one of the kind of cool things for Gumiho, and this doesn't really come into big effect a lot of the time in TVT, but as Gumiho starts taking the further away bases, you know, and I'm thinking more specifically 4th and more to the point 5ths, he can actually start using orbital, planetary fortresses, as that will stop drops. It'll deter bio most of the time, but not really the same for TaeJa, because if you invest in them, well, it's mostly tanks attacking you anyways. Who cares? So while we're not quite there, TVT tends to go 2 directions, either really short or really long. There's not a lot of in-betweens, and if this does go really long, I'm liking the prospects of Gumiho on this map just a little bit more because of that.
Yeah. He's already kind of taking a defensive position that also protects the 4th with very few units. TaeJa not really hitting his stride yet, though, you know? Like, not a lot has happened in this game for either player. They basically got away with their builds and their 3rd command centers. But soon TaeJa should have, you know, a higher army supply. And he does right now. Almost 20. But even higher. You know, keep climbing up there and then have that really nice concave and really start to pull apart Gumiho. The other option would be to just go into your own air much faster.
So this bunker seems really out of place, but I like this a lot. Even if it's just 1 or 2 Marines sitting in there, I doubt it'll be a full bunker. Oh, looks like it will be a full bunker. It's about stopping the Hellbats once they unload. This is so cool because oftentimes, you know, you dive past the turret, but who cares if you get the 2 Hellbats out? They're gonna kill the SCVs. But the bunker will add a little bit of damage and keep the Marines alive first and foremost.
Fortunately, no bunker over here, but this thing. Snipe.
Snipes the medevac though.
Yeah. 2 sensor towers are boobies on the minimap. What? No.
Not really. Well, kind of actually. Yeah, if you look at it, the main base is like the head, and she's just got these incredibly stupidly large boobs.
Like anime boobs right now. Okay.
Yeah, not even this like Dolly Parton boobs right now. Like the command centers are the
How dare you? She's a nice lady.
areolas, if you will. All right. One of the big things though is the sensor towers provide that cover, and they go to the edge of the map. This isn't just like a random sensor tower placement. This is very important for Gumiho because he'll now know if TaeJa comes from any angle of attack whatsoever. And that is kind of the big downside to playing mech. While you will have air control in controlled spaces, you don't have the fastest response time to doom drops, and it's doom dropping on top of factories that tend to end the game for bio players more often than taking a straight up army engagement, especially against blue flame Hellions or Hellbats. And again, this Viking War should go in the favor of Gumiho every single time unless Gumiho moves on top of the Marines.
Yeah. Now, I brought up earlier that TaeJa could have gone into his own air, like thrown on 3 starports to Gumiho's 2 and then keep on with that, but I don't know if that's really possible anymore. Like, Gumiho is getting into a very comfy 4th, and he's gonna have those upgrades, you know, double army upgrades. He's gonna have the temptation, I guess, more than TaeJa to go into mass air with battle cruisers because he's Gumiho, you know. But actually, Gumiho a little scared maybe of that, you know, surprise. Like, I have more Vikings than you. Just gonna invest into 2 Thors.
Well, that siege tank line is really scary. I just don't see an easy way to break this. But starting to pick up his drops and possibly going around the maps is definitely the way to do it. What I do like out of Gumiho, I kind of wish he'd leave about 4 of these in Hellbats, but for the most part they're all in Hellions because that gives them the mobility to actually run around and respond to these drops. Hellbats in the meantime would be way too slow and way too hard to hold up to. So Vikings in the meantime also, he can't segment too many away. These are his air control. There's Banshees on the front lines. If he pulls all of these back, as silly as it sounds to say, 1 Banshee could catch him off guard. But unsieges the tanks while simultaneously transforming the Hellbats. He's going to push. Not knowing that TaeJa's got 2 drops segmented over to the right side, this could hurt quite a bit.
So the Shadows is tech that he has some missile turrets, and they will take down, I think, both medevacs.
Oh, actually, yeah. Oh, that second turret gets in range. Both medevacs go down. A very small amount of units unload in the main, but the Marauders are still very formidable units. These will tear down buildings crazy quick. SCVs will be pulled to prepare the armories, but that Thor, can he hold? Looks like TaeJa's going to focus down on the armories, so the Thor will hold this fight. Meanwhile, on the front lines, the siege tank, well, they've got this really awkward standoff set up, but again, air control goes to Gumiho every single time.
Yeah. He's ensuring that air control, or maybe not control, but he won't die to the Banshee after these. So, you know, he doesn't really have to worry about the Banshee so much. He's got, you know, 3 Thors that's going to cover his ass. Oh, but he needs to worry about a concave.
Yeah, the problem, too, isn't even just like that the Marines had dived on top of this. The Hellbats were out of position to defend. Hellbats, if nothing else, they soak damage so well. It gives the tanks the times to siege up and unsiege. But TaeJa is going to start investing into his air behind this. Double starports coming down. I kind of would be shocked if we didn't see additional air coverage out of Gumiho at some point. But the planetary fortress here at the 4th base, as predicted, this is to make sure that drops do not catch him off guard. Marauders, Marines, they really don't fare well against the planetary unless there's a lot of them.
Yeah. We have TaeJa going into more command centers and those 2 other starports. So it is getting to that point. But Gumiho should also get to that point soon. Like, as you know, he has the Viking control right now, and he has 2 Thors. He won't lose to a Banshee swap. But it's going to come to that point where both players should probably invest into air armies. Battlecruisers, Ravens, maybe some more Banshees. And then, when that happens, we'll have to talk about who bothers to transition back, because the bio players are always going to have a better choice to do that. It's going to produce faster.
This is kind of cute.
It's going to be a long game.
I actually really like this move out of TaeJa quite a bit. Because for Gumiho, one of the only real ways to respond is start, you know, your own drops, get your own Hellbats going, and well, you know, if you don't think to drop down here, you eradicate all these SCVs. It doesn't matter as long as TaeJa's still mining.
Oh, TaeJa actually invested in a second armory. It's a good, like, you're going to go into air, but sometimes you just see them not bother.
Ooh, I think the concave's a little too good for this. This is a really bold move out of Gumiho, trying to break this line. He gets caught from behind by the Marines. Again, he wins the air war, but it doesn't matter if he can't deal with the siege tanks. It looks like he cannot deal with the siege tanks. However, both armies are wiping each other out in the middle of the map. The question is whose remax is better and whose resupply works out more efficiently. And I kind of feel like with TaeJa going to battlecruisers, having lost his entire air army, Gumiho is now in a really rough spot.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely give this to TaeJa. I don't think Gumiho, I think what really caught him off guard was the army on the right side.
Yeah, he had the sensor tower too. I'm surprised that was such a bad
yeah, you're right.
Such a bad deal for him.
That shouldn't have been a surprise. He must have just really thought he could break it, but without Hellbat drops especially, I don't know why you would think it was such a wide concave.
Yeah, you know, it's weird. I think if he had four medevacs total instead of 2, I really think he would have had an easier time breaking that. Because he only got 4 Hellbats total on top of the tanks.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Everything else just kind of walked into death, but picks up, keeps these things alive, but that doesn't matter. That supply count is ridiculous. 3 times the count for TaeJa. And looks like we might just have a TaeJa versus Soxry finals in the works. Now, it's still not quite over for Gumiho, but it is getting dire, and it's getting to that point where if you lose 1 too many tanks, 1 too many SCVs, you say, screw it, that's it, throw in the towel, GG. And, CCs. Yikes. This is starting to spiral pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's kind of getting to that point, man. Like, Gumiho is he's just gonna die. Like, I don't even think he can turtle. You know, usually there's like, oh, you can turtle on 3 base and hope to God nothing happens, but not even that. Ooh. Marauders are busting through. Medevac
shot down in the air, too, trying to get those Hellbats out, but GG is called, and sadly, we will not see Gumiho in the finals, but we will get TaeJa versus Soxry in a best-of-5.